All right. So you have 1 more minute. So we'll wait for just in case if I miss anyone want to join. So meanwhile, do you have any questions from yesterday's session or even from the Friday session? Any questions? By the way, how is the audio today? So is it clear and crystal? So can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, Raghu, it is clear today.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So any questions? Did you get a chance to work on that exercise which we have discussed yesterday?
Hey, Raghu.
Yes, it is.
See, can we get a handbook of the lab that we're doing in the class? The reason being, what is happening is that most of these people, if they have to do the lab, right, they have to go through the video for 1.5 hours and then practice. So instead, if they have a handbook, it would be easy for them to practice. What do you think about that?
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, man, I don't have anything right now handy, but every day, so I'll just try to share the problem statement.
Sure.
So and then next session, just in case if you need any solutions, feel free to let me know. I will try to discuss on the classroom.
Sure, Raghu.
Okay. Fine, then it's time. So let's get started. So it's a little bit, the recording is on. So can we see my screen now? Is it visible, the screen?
Yes,
yes, we can see.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So we have moved from WebEx to Zoom, hoping that this will solve our latency issues. Yesterday's whatever we had. Now, so just a recap from yesterday's. We discussed about some of the three-tier architectures. By the way, they are some open source technologies such as web servers, application server, database server. And then we took a sample, one of the popular server called Apache. We downloaded the source control, installed that particular binaries in one of the machine. Yeah, we used AWS machine, but you can do that in your Azure machine. You can do that in your VM machine or a physical machine or a bare metal machine, anything. So I think that's clear. Also because here we are not discussing anything on AWS. We are just trying to discuss about those components which is we require to set up an application. And then we just try to install one application server, lightweight application server called Tomcat. As part of that, we installed some prerequisites, and then we deployed some sample application and configured the reverse proxy on the cloud platform. So also I've discussed that try to set up 2 machines in your account, and then I set up one web server, set up one application server, and try to set up a reverse proxy using that. Yeah, so that was exercise. So today, what we trying to go into discuss is, we will, the agenda is to discuss about Git, GitHub. But before, we go into this, we just want to learn few things about Git and the history part. So most of you might have heard about this person named called Linus Torvald. He's the father of Linux, right? Yeah. So the people so who are only working on Linux, they might be knowing this person. So he's a very familiar, famous personality. So he's the same person who is actually developed this Git package. It's a software which will help us to track the files, all the changes, and all that stuff. So initially, when he was working for Sun Microsystem, he was actually leading a development team who are working on developing the kernel. So which is so he was leading the kernel project. So he was not actually finding one version controlling system which was available in the market, which actually meets the demand, the requirement from the development point of view. Now, so one more word came called version control. So I'll ask this question. So if anybody knows, you try to answer. So you might be heard about this version controlling system and then source controlling management system. So if I ask you this question, what is the difference between version controlling system and source controlling mechanism? Anyone wants to try to answer that? What's the difference between a VCS and as well as SCM? Okay, yeah. So let me answer this. I think I just took one random stack overflow results. Here, version controlling system. So developers I'll give you one example. Let's say that we are all working for one project called banking project, and I'm the lead. So if you're all developers, I'll be providing you one module to develop could be a fundraising module or a credit card or a statement or a report module. Each one of you are a developer working for the project called banking product. Now, it is you cannot finish that in single day. Every day you will be developing something and then storing that in a location. So to keep track of all those changes, you need a system. So earlier, you might have heard about some of the tools called CVS. Late 90s, it was used. It was a non-distributed version controlling system. The abbreviation is concurrent version system. So late, in 86, of course, it came into the market, but yeah, late 90s, it was very popular. And then later, SVN came, subversioning tool. So even now, some developers still uses SVN. So that is very one of the classic version controlling system, mostly used by all these developers. So later, a lot of new additions came, and then finally the Git came. So when is exactly in 2005, I guess, right? Yeah. So this is as per the wiki. So in which language it was developed? Some C, Shell, Perl, using different languages it was developed 16 years ago. So this is version controlling system. Suppose if I am the developer and if I am working on developing a package on this particular machine. So what I'll do, I will probably go to my home directory, and then I'll create a folder, let's say software, a project. So let me say, I created a folder called project here. And if I go to project, this is where I'll be developing the package using C, C++, or any language, programming language. So I'll be developing the project. Now, if I want, store or set up some version controlling for this particular folder, yeah, I will be probably will be installing this Git, which we are going to discuss now. So that Git is a command line utility, which will help me to manage whatever the packages which I'm going to develop in this package and store in the system. So what it will do, currently, if you check it out, we don't have any folders here. Even if I do ls-la to list all the hidden folders, so we don't see any such folders here, apart from those, the basic folders. So if I install Git and I can have a repository specific to this particular folder. And then in case any changes, if I'm doing to those files which I'm going to create due course, so I can save all that work, one copy inside that particular repository as well, or database. So all my changes will be tracked at any point of time. I can go back, I can get to the latest edition or the previous edition of the file, or files or folders, or multiple files and folders. So each thing will be tracked when it is storing in the repository. So very interesting because we means like developers generally need that kind of system. Now, as a DevOps engineer, you're not a developer, so but you're expected that you will be dealing with this kind of GitHub kind of tools, so that you can save your, let's say, cookbooks in Chef, modules in Puppet, or playbooks in Ansible, anything like that. So you will be saving those in the folder. So that's the expectations. So you will be having from this particular version controlling system. Okay, we got some idea about VCS, which is probably installing in a standalone machine. Now, what is SCM, software configuration management? So take an example like GitLab or GitHub. So it is basically, it's a broader term that encompasses all the processes need to build, package, and deploy the software. So here, this VCS is a subset of SCM. So it is just a small tool which actually keeps a track of all those changes. But when we look for this kind of service configuration management, or SCM, it also will take care of building the packages, deploying those packages into the respective team. So can I say VCS is a subset of SCM? Answer is yes. Now, what are the different version controlling systems available apart from Git? We just now discussed it. The older edition, CVS, SVN, Git, GitLab nowadays. To name few, these are all the popular version controlling system tools which can work on a standalone machine. It does not work in a distributed environment. In case if I'm looking for a distributed environment, I probably will be going with GitHub, GitLab, etc. here. So that is all about little background about Git, VCS, Linux Torvald, all that stuff. Now, do we have this package installed in this machine just to practice Git? I'm talking about. I have a cloud machine. I just want to practice some Git commands here because I'm new to Git. I really don't know anything about that. So I just want to check it out whether Git is installed on this machine or not. So it is not there. So I can just install this Git for now in this machine. So it required some of those independent packages, and it install those dependence packages as well as the actual binaries here. Okay, so we got installed this Git here. Now check it out whether this is displaying or not. Yes. So version is 2.23.4. So I think this is one of the latest package which we got, and as part of this Git installation. So I am inside this project folder. If I do ls-l to list all the files, I don't see any files and folders. Even if I want to list all the hidden folders, I don't see any hidden folder. Now, project is a folder. I would like to set up a Git repository inside this thing so that it can save all those files, tracks all those files, changes, and in case if I want to reverse back, So reverse this particular stuff, the code, I can refer the previous code. So, but I don't have this Git repository. So I would like to set up or initialize an empty repository inside this folder only. So anything which is user is trying to save outside of this particular whatever the repository and all this stuff, I mean, after this folder is not applicable or not inheritable here. Now let me install the Git here. Repository. Git is a command which always starts with Git command. All commands start with Git. So I said Git init inside the project folder. So you will get a confirmation saying that initialized empty Git repository. This time, if I want to show list all the hidden files and folders, here we can see a folder called .git. Earlier it was not there. Now it has created because we have initialized the repository. So anything which I'm going to work inside this particular folder, going forward, if I want to save, I can save this in this kind of .git repository here. Now let's just check it out. What is there in this .git? Of course, if I do ls, then it will not be displayed. If I do .git, we'll go into this particular .git folder. Try to check it out some files and folders here by typing ll. We could see some files and folders here, which is having a significant role in playing the Git repository here. For example, branches. So in case if I want to create any branch and save the data and all that stuff, so that is all about the branches folder it refers. And then configuration of this repository. So if I do cat config, what is there? It contains the repository format version, file mode, bare, local or log, all reference, test, etc. So this is what all about the config and description. It's the repository description saying that it is some XYZ practice purpose this particular repository has created. And we'll talk about head, but otherwise let me just explain you what is exactly head. Very high level. When we try to check in, let's say, any code, so you will be by default will be checking into the header. So right now the header is sitting on master here. So what is master? Branch. So what else we have? Git description. Description means we just know, right? The explanation of this particular repository. And hooks is one more folder which contains some scripts. So let's say I want to check in some code to this repository, but as soon as I check in, it will not be saved. You have to commit it. Something like that. Yeah. So, but pre-commit or post-commit, I would like to do some operations with this repository only. I don't want to go anywhere here and there. I would like to, let's say, as soon as I check in, it has to be committed again. So if I want to do that kind of stuff, I can please go ahead and do the same stuff. So also we have info folder. Let me come out of this folder. Go to info. So you contain some exclude when we really want to check in and want to customize. Then these are the things we would like to check exclude while checking in, check out kind of stuff. We can use this particular thing called info. And objects is where actually really those particular data and everything here will be saved in the form of different names here. One is info, one is pack, etc. just trying to walk you through the folder, not doing anything else. Now go to references. You also will be seeing the same stuff here. So heads and tags. So any references if you try to create, so which we will be discussing in incoming editions. So that will be addressed here. So we have some repository, but we do not have any files and folder inside that. Yeah. So if I want to create a file and commit, yeah, please go ahead and create a file and then add to the staging area and then add to the committing area. So let me just try that. Touch welcome.txt. So a file is created inside this particular folder called project. So can we see that now the file is created here? So now this is it there in the repository? Yeah, this is one more interesting topic. Before we commit this to the actual repository, which actually will be permanently stored, I would like to have a staging area so that in case if any alteration is needed, any modification is needed and everything, I can check the differences and etc. and then commit this particular stuff to the local repository. Now, so right now, Git. So we are inside this thing. I created one file called welcome.txt. Is it there inside that Git folder? No, it will not be because we did not add anything. So let me add this thing. So by git space add space dot. And then git commit dot. Dot is nothing but whatever the data is there in the staging will be committed to the repository. Test May 21 commit. So we could see one file is seen, one insertion is happened, and it is committed. But I really want to see whether it is really there in the repository or not. So when I do git space ls-files, it is displaying the files available inside my repository. Yeah. So any questions so far on this? Whatever we are doing. So
Hi,
yeah, go ahead.
so when I have installed this Git version, and I can check the Git version also, from where were you checking .git? Because when I am seeing the project folder, I cannot find the Git. That .git you have shown.
Yeah. .git will be there. It will be hidden folder. Correct.
Okay, that is hidden.
Yeah, that is a hidden folder inside the folder. See, that is the reason if I do ls, right, it is not displaying. But if I do ls-la, which will also list all the hidden files and folders, can you see .git is there?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Raghu, what's the difference between normal ls and git ls files?
So normal ls will list the files inside this folder. And I would like to list the files which are there in my local repository inside this folder. Yeah. So if let me do one thing, let me just delete this local file by doing welcome dot rm welcome.txt. So I'm just saying rm welcome.txt. Do you want to delete? Yes. So is it there now in my local folder? No, it is not there. So can I see this in my local repository? Yes.
Okay.
Is it, yeah? Right.
So from here, we need to delete this.
Correct. But take a scenario. Now we accidentally deleted. I want to have a copy of this in my local folder. Okay. So what we do, we can do git checkout and the file name. Yeah. Can we see the file is now restored in my local disk? Nothing but local folder.
Okay.
So, but actually, yeah, we are only dealing with one file. That is fine. But in real time, we'll be having tens and hundreds of files, right? Development files and all this thing. So sometimes we'll be checking more than one file because how the Git will work, it only look into the differences and only those differences will be used here. Yeah. So how Git actually works, that we need to understand before we actually do that particular operation. So use this command called Git Log, which will display some details. What is exactly, how do you read this? So the first row talks about commit. So we could see some ASCII code here, which is actually unique and a reference point for so-and-so commit. So because do you remember, like when for the first time when I'm committing some file, I've given this test made, I mean, at 2021, some commit, some description. So it's just a description. Also author. So is the author. Okay, so because I have not configured any email addresses or anything with my account, that is the reason I've used this particular author and date, etc. Okay, that is fine. Now Git checkout. Can I also use this SHA-ID? Yes. So that is actually a good practice in case you really, it will be restored to the particular state. So it will not represent a single file, but it will represent files updated and committed during that particular time. So in case there are, let's say 100 files you committed. So now I want to delete all those commits because I felt like it is accidentally committed. So yeah, in those cases, it just actually one commit ID and using that particular stuff, it will be doing the so-and-so operations there. Okay, so if I commit one more change, so will I get one more log? I mean, one more SHA ID? Yes. So let me try that option. So right now, welcome.txt is what actually we did, right? I would like to edit this welcome.txt, add something like welcome. So file is stored. So now this particular thing, I would like to add to the staging area first. So git space add space dot. So once it is added, we could see that it is now available in staging area to be ready to commit. So you can commit now explicitly there, or you can also do one more thing because this is not a new file. We just added one, probably I think, right? One line we added, I guess. Just welcome something we added. So we can do that as well by adjusting few things there. So without committing, can I see the single shot I can do? So we'll talk about that later. But for now, yeah, it is just a staged, no commitment. It is not committed yet. Okay. So let me commit that to the repository. Git space add space -a. Okay. For now, I would like to commit everything. We'll talk about this later. Git add space -m. Why we need -m description? Because in case later we'll be forgetting how do you do this step and all the stuff. Now we can create a volume here, and then you can refer that particular volume at any point of time. So my second commit. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, this is just a commit, right? And then git commit. First add to the stage, and then we already added. Now it is adding to the our repository. So you could see a comment. This thing, one file is changed. So because we did some changes, right? It is already now changed. So what we can do, we can look at the log. Git log. Now, how many entries are there? 2. So basically, these are 2 records. So this is how actually the system will work in terms of storage and all this thing in the machine. So now, yeah, that is understood that we have 2 entries in the Git log. So one is my second commit and all this stuff. So is it available that my local file is also there? We were working on that local file also, right? Yeah. So local, this thing is also there. I mean, locally, the file is also there here. So all these 3 are in sync. When I say 3, one is the local file, one is the staging from where the hard disk is pulled. I mean, so and so files and folders. So yeah. So let's try to check it out. I want to, because let's say that rm welcome.txt again. I want to check out not this one, but this one. So when I do that, nothing happened, because I think when we committed the first time, the file is not there. So we could see that I think it is still there. So we will try to add one more commit and then we'll try to retrieve. So that will give you a little flexible in case of any troubleshooting is needed here. Yeah. So extremely simple thing which we are discussing here. Any questions on this thing, whatever we have so far discussed? All are still with me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what is this header here? Right now, header, I mean, in a layman language, for example, let's say you have that, the old classic style of music player album will be there. You will be placing one header on top of that. Based on that thing, the songs will play. Correct? So currently, in this case, this history, the header is right now on the top, like the second commit. So if I want to change back to these things, yes, you can go ahead and do this, to do that particular changes and then work accordingly. But again, as I said, like, don't get mixed with the whatever the options we have there. So we got little understanding about three things. One is local stage, one is staging stage, one is production stage. So staging, now I'll ask you the question, why do we use staging? So what is the need for, having this particular staging here? Yeah, any thoughts?
So that we can record whatever the changes we are making.
Okay. So before you actually commit anything to this particular repository, so if you have staging, if the files goes into the staging area, so here sorting will be happening. Yeah, we are only dealing with single file here, but when we are dealing with bunch of files, so some sorting will be happening, and then that will be committed to the database. So this for this particular sorting purpose, so you need this particular staging area here. So can I commit anything to the repository without adding to the staging? No, not possible. Yeah. So the three here, but I can remove the data from staging. So for example, let me create one more file, touch 11th May 21.txt. 11th May 21.txt. So I would like to add this to the staging area. So git space add space dot will add that to the staging area. Now if I do git status, so it's saying that yeah, that is one file available called 11th May 21.txt. So that can be stored in the repository, or you can unstage also. You can see like there's an option called unstage also. So you can do that as well, or you can commit to the repository. So git space commit space dot -m, adding the file, some new files. Yeah. So every time when we are trying to add into the local machine, it is difficult. So every time we are trying to add anything, that name, all that stuff is right now. So having a different names, right? So let me just clear the screen. So there, you have your email address, you have the date and everything, right? So this particular thing, I would like to modify because I want to have my own email address and all this thing. So you can configure that, git config global edit. So when I do this thing, so you can, configure your profile, your name, anything here, just for testing purpose. I'm just changing this name. So you can also modify your email address. So going forward, any changes you'll be doing, so you will be having your email, all these things. I said going forward. Now, what happened to the existing commits which have already committed into the local repository? So can I do that changes? Yeah. So you have this option, git commit amend. For example, I would like to amend author. So I can do some changes here, and then so let's say that I don't want to have this commit. I want to have different commit. So some changes and etc. And then save this thing. So when you do this this execution of this command, now this particular stuff is now changed. So I just amended the author. But you could see that your header, I mean, he is here and the master is here, but that is not properly there. So you can use this called Git Checkout to master to get the latest. So you could say switch to branch. A branch is something for the first time we are hearing. Let's discuss what is branch here. Now, how many branches we have currently inside this local repository? We only have master branch. So let me put that in a simple diagram. What is branch and what is the useful thing? So let me just put this in this way. You have this I mean, a tree. I'm just they're trying to draw a tree. So you have these branches and all this thing, right? Similarly, right now we have a branch called master. Now the data, which whatever we are trying to store inside this, it is there in this branch. And if I'm trying to create one more branch, if I try to save the file, it will be on the different branch. So right now we only have master branch, which is a default branch, which was created as part of like this repository here. So now let me create one more branch here. So git branch main. Now how many branches we have? So we have two branches. One is master and main. So if you look at that picture, which we just now drawn here, so there is one branch was created here. So for the first time, when it is trying to create a branch, actually what it will do, it will copy this whatever the branch, master branch it is there, right? It will be copied here, and then you'll be creating a new branch here. So that is what it will happen here. So all the data, whatever there in the master, will be copied for the first time. Once it is copied, going forward, if any changes you're trying to store in this branch will not be overlapped or will not be copied to another branch. So let me go to right now, check it out. What is there in master? So we have welcome.txt. Let me now get checkout to May. May is a new branch. Now git branch. Where are we now? We are sitting on May branch. Just see any files are there. Yeah, I think the welcome.txt will be there. Here also. So let me try to create a file inside this May branch. Touch. So I'll just name that may.txt file here. An empty file. So is it available in the repositories? It is not available here. It is not available here, right? So it need to add to the staging area. Git space, add space, dot. So it added to the staging area. Now, this particular thing, is it there in the repository? Yeah, it is not there in the repository. So you have to add this to the repository also. So you can just get a commit and all the stuff, right? So remember, for any repository, staging is common. So you might be having multiple branches. In this case, we have master branch, we have May branch, two branches, or you can create one more branch, development branch, staging branch, production branch. So you can have multiple branches. Now, these multiple branches all will be shared the same common staging area. So that is what I would like to state. So right now, don't think that we have a separate staging area for separate branches. So there's only one single staging is there, which is a temporary cache memory. So it will not be linked with your repository. So you just need to use this staging area just to sort out. Like it will use this for sorting purposes here. So let me add this to the May branch. So git commit space dot. Yeah, I'm just giving this message. Now, what will happen if I don't give any message? Comment here is it will just open a VA editor saying that, hey, why don't you, give a comment? What kind of commit you are doing, because you're finally committing something to the repository, right? Yeah, this is for May branch. Some comments I would like to pass it out. So it is passed out and then it is committed to the repository. So git status, is anything left over which is there in my local files is not committed yet? No. You are on May branch, nothing is is pending to commit to this working tree is clean. So git branch, git ls -files. So you are on the May branch, there are two files. Now if I check out to master, so if I do git ls -files, yeah, there's only one file in the master branch. So likewise, you can create any number of branches and then you can play around with that stuff. So why do we use this thing? So suppose in the morning, I'm a developer. I came to the working workstation. I'll create a branch and then I will start developing and everything on this. I'll be doing my work. And finally, by the end of the day, before I leave, I will try to commit that back to the repository, whatever that, master repository, etc. here. So in of course that process we call merging two branches and all this stuff. We'll talk about that in a while right now. So any questions so far on this?
No, Raghu, yeah, good.
Okay, yeah. So I assume that so this is clear. Let me just share this command just in case if you're following with me. This is for your reference. Anyway, I'll be as we discussed it, I'll be sharing this again in the notes. There are some of the commands which we are doing here. But while doing program, yeah, we will try to share it through Drive. Install Git. Okay. So we got some idea about the branches. So there are two branches, and then we are trying to create some files, and then both are virtually separate. It's like separate folders inside that repository. It is how it is storing. So let's now I'm assume that I'm done with my work on this branch called May. So I would like to merge this the entire files into the master branch. Now, how do we do that? Can I merge directly? Yeah, in case this is new data, new files, which is there in the May branch, that can be merged to the master without any issues. But what if the file's already there, and if there is any version conflict can come, or we call it as like merge conflict can come? How do you handle that? So we'll check it out. So right now in master we only have welcome.txt. In May we have two files called welcome.txt and may.txt. So let me try to merge whatever the data which is there in branch May to the master. So git merge. I'm right now sitting on master branch. Git merge May. So we are seeing that this is now merged and then so everything is merged into this stuff. So let's just check it out what is there in the master branch now. Git ls files. So there is two files. One may.txt also came. Welcome.txt is also came.
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
Sorry, you are not able to hear you.
No, I was on mute. Yeah, 1 second.
Okay.
So here, because it is new files, so we are seeing that everything is merged to this master branch without any issues. Now, what we'll do this time, I will check out to May, and I have a file called welcome.txt here. So Git Log. So I'm seeing that now this is version overall thing happening with those so and so commits. So let me edit this welcome.txt file. So I'm adding a new line to this. Welcome 1, 2, 3. I'm just adding a new line to this. So get space status. I'm on master, sorry, May branch, yeah, not on master. It says, hey, you modified something in your local file. Do you want to commit? Yes. Because this file is already there, you don't need to again use a staging area by using git add. Directly you can use git commit -a. So that is what we can do. Add the files. Add some comments. So now if I do git branch, I am right now on May. So if I check out to master, so if I do cat welcome, it only one line, right? So if I try to merge, git merge May. So my question is, if I try to merge, will it merge or will it throw any error message to me? Because May branch is having 2 lines, that welcome.txt. Master branch is having 1 line in the welcome.txt. Yeah, any guesses? Okay. So let me execute this command, git merge May. Yeah. So because it is actually appending the database. So definitely there will be no conflicts. But take another scenario. Let me again check out to May. Let me again check out to May. And then edit this file, we call welcome.txt. Add this stuff, welcome 234. Git commit -a. Added something here. Third line. Now go to branch, git checkout to master back, where we only have 2 lines. Now if I try to commit here, it will happen because we have seen the last scenario. But between this time, if someone came into this master branch, they did some changes here. Let's say that they added a new line to this file. And then commit to the master branch. New line to master. Yeah, so I just added a new line to the master. So both these files now got a new addition. When you do git log, so we could see that this is the latest one. We got some new addition to this thing. So now, if I try to merge, git merge, where are we right now? We are on master branch. So if I try to merge May to master, so just merge branch May. So it's saying that now auto merging welcome.txt, merge made by recursive strategy welcome.txt, etc. So what really happened? So it just appended. So because new line is there, welcome 1 2 3 was there in the May branch. So it just noticed that 2 3 4 was not there. So it recursively verified line by line and then merged it. So in case if you go to May, welcome.txt, we could see this thing, right? So now, yeah, because then no major changes is there, and that is the reason it was a smooth march. But let's just create a file in master branch by name devops.txt. We edit this file, added a line called chef to this file, and then we try to commit this thing. Git add space dot git commit space dot -m chef. So we committed this to this particular branch. So we could see it, chef is committed, Git Log. Now go to May again. So create that same file, devops.txt. But this time I would like to add a word called Puppet, Ansible, and Chef, Docker, some 3-4 lines. Git add space dot commit space dot May DevOps. So we are on our May branch, and then we committed that here. So May DevOps. Now check out to master, and then git merge May. Hope recursive strategy again applied. Yeah, okay, recursive strategy is again applied. So sometimes what will happen in case if the file is so big, you will get a merge conflict. So when you have a merge conflict, then that is where we need to use git merge tool, which will trigger those two windows using some comparison windows, and side by side those files will be open, and then you have to go line by line, verify what is the changes happened in case of, let's say, 100 lines of file, and then do you really need these things? So yes, I don't need these things. So likewise, you can check it out and then try to modify based on the lines. So in case if like line is having any problem, and so those kind of issues can come here. Yeah. Fine. So whatever right now we are doing, we are all doing that in the local system. Now, what if it is lost? This folder is lost, so we lose all the data and all this thing, right? So that is that is where we have this tools called GitHub, kind of tools, like it's open source tools. So let's just check it out about the GitHub kind of stuff here now. Now, what is exactly GitHub? So yeah, there's a welcome page. Everybody can go ahead and create an account free of cost, 1 GB. We'll talk about more details about a lot of options available in GitHub and all these things. So anyone know like who owns GitHub right now? Who owned this GitHub or subsidiary of in which company?
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft. So I think that deal was around 2 years back happened, right? Close to 19 billion. So you can go ahead and create an account. I already have one training account for demo purpose, training purpose. So I let me use that account. So for enterprise, they also provide you different services. We'll talk about that a little later. So this, I've created a simple, I mean, I already have an account. I'll just log in. You can also go ahead and log in to your account. For enterprise, what is that I was saying? For example, let's say I'm working for a company XYZ. I can have my own domain, and then the SaaS-based services they will provide you unlimited storage, or depending on your organization storage, you can go ahead and create the account for that. So inside this account, I can create any number of repositories. So you can just click on this new repository and give a name. So I'm just going to create a name like training, Devops training May. It's already there. That is the reason. Yeah, so I just changed a suffix to this word called May. There are two options. One is public and one is private. So how the system works is when I say public, if I have any data on this particular DevOps training repository, it can be seen by anyone. So as like there is a description, this is clearly mentioning, right? Anyone on the internet can see this repository, but no one can commit or delete. So they will not have any right access to that repository. It's only like read-only access they can download. So when you go with private account, yeah, so you will, it's like you'll not have any write access or read access. So, but I think private, I don't know, it is free or not. Earlier it is chargeable. Let me just see, create a repository. I think they are giving one private account at no cost. So I just created one private account. We will change that later to public. That's okay. So as soon as I create a private repository, a new window came here. So you have a lot of options here: code, issues, pull requests, actions, projects, etc. So we'll talk about a few of them right now. So if it is a Windows machine, if it's a laptop, you're having a Windows laptop, you can also install this Git software on your local Windows laptop, set up this repository. Or you can access this data which is there in this DevOps training using HTTPS and also SSH. Now we know what is HTTPS. I mean, it's probably, I think this is the URL through which I can configure and do all that stuff. Now what is SSH here is, in case if I'm using, let's say, Linux machine, I'll be having a secure shell. I'll be having a public key and private key. We remember we have discussed this in our partition. So we're like public key and private key. So that key, the Linux machine key, can be configured here and vice versa, so that without logging every time to this repository from my local machine, I can check in and check out the data to the repository. Fine, I'm not going to discuss right now anything on that, but just discuss very basic stuff now. HTTPS. So there is a clear instructions how to set up this repository in your local machine. So, and also how to push an existing repository from the command line, everything is there. So let's try to set up this thing, because I already have a local machine, a local repository in it, empty repository is there, wherein I committed few things, yeah, and everything is there. So I no need to do all this configuration again, but how do you link this repository to that stuff? So you have a command called git remote. So when I do git remote -v, it will display if there are any links to any remote repository. So here we don't have any repository. So just to do help, right? A lot of options will come. So I want to retrieve the URL, set the URL, rename, remove, etc. So many things are there. Now I'm just new to this. I just want to configure that repository here. So I can use this command called git remote add space origin. What was the repository name? So the repository name is here, this one. Control C. Enter. Now if I do git remote -v. So you can look at the details that the fetch URL is this and push URL is this. So origin is alias which was created because every time using this URL will be a little challenging for us. So I can just use this alias name called origin there whenever I refer any commit and anything to this stuff. So here, right now, it is configured that. So how do you transfer my local machine repository, Git repository data to this remote repository? So I have to log in because credentials is needed. And by the way, we created a private repository. So even internet also, you can't see all this stuff. So I can try to push it out. So let me just try to push. So let me try to push everyone. Then we will be requested with the credentials to be supplied. So let me push, git push. I said, hey, why don't you ask me credentials to that? Now, where should I push? So I given an alias name called origin, git push -u origin. Okay, so origin means that URL we just configured. Now to which branch I have to push? So chances are there that on the remote repositories also, you can have any number of repository branches there. So which branch I have to push? So git push -u origin master. So in case if there is another repository, it has to be supplied that repository name while pushing. It'll ask me credential. So because I'm the owner of the repository, I know the credentials. I'm supplying those details. Okay, that's what was that credentials. Yeah. So I logged in and then this is now pushed to the repository. So just go to the GitHub and refresh this thing. So there are some files we just now tested out, right? All those entire files is now pushed to repository. So we are like at a safer side. So if anything happens to my local machine, my local repository, I no need to worry about anything. So all these files are committed and saved into this particular repository here. So any questions on this thing so far?
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
We can generate the key and we can copy paste to the GitHub code, right?
Correct. Yes.
So
You're talking about SSH key, right?
Yes, sir. SSH key.
Yes. Yeah. We can do that. I'll show you. Yeah. We'll discuss on that. Okay. So very simple. Then we just need to configure the remote and then all this stuff. This time, like we provided through credentials, but in real time, in case if you're a developer, every time providing credentials is a tedious task. So that is the reason there is another option called SSH key, wherein you can supply that as configure that SSH key, and then you don't need to again log in every time because private key and public key will be there, and it will be committed without any credentials on a secure channel using the private key and public key. So now let's just discuss about what are all the different options we have on this stuff. So on the top right hand side, we could see some fork option. So in internet, if you're, let's say, browsing something and let's say there is an open source project is there, very interesting one. Let me just search everything like that. So for example, some Kubernetes open source GitHub project. Just an official project, I guess. So but I logged in here using my training account, right? The Raghu Ops Dev training account. So as soon as like okay, as see that this repository is very interesting, and I just want to fork it. So when I click on this fork option, fork it, it'll ask me this thing. Okay, yeah, this is my training account. So I just forked this to this stuff. So the entire data now, the repository is shipped into my account. Not shipped in the mean, like basically creating a soft link. Okay, so but it is just a copy. I mean, and kind of having a copy to your repository. When I say why I'm using this word specifically copy, yeah, you can do some changes to this thing, anything, and at any point of time, you can test it out, do a POC, and you can also contribute back to the open source projects, etc. So likewise, if you go to my dashboard, so you could see like a lot of my this thing. Some of them are forked, some of them branches are created. Yeah, so whenever I do some deliveries, any training, I generally use to upload something here, so that all those people can access those data, etc. Anything like that. So this is only for training purposes. I'm just using this stuff. So likewise, you can also fork it. Okay, so understood about the forking option. Let's go to the other options. What else we have? Let's go to this Devops training. Now you can also watch it if you find any interesting repository, but I don't want to fork it. I want to watch it, like any changes happen. I just want to get notification. You can mark a star here if it is very favorite repository. And this is all about code, and this is about issues. So what do you mean by issues? Any bugs and features and all these things, which and as soon as they created, they'll appear here. Now, if you look at it, some pull requests, I mean, how many people are pulled, that report and all these things can be seen here. And then, so in case if it is having an issue, so all these things will be displayed here. Now, this is something interesting. I think last year only this came around, okay, it's more than 1 year ago, I think it came, this action. Now, what is exactly this actions? So I can create a pipeline, or I can talk to a cloud platform or Azure or in a Kubernetes platform or a Terraform platform. So I can have a code here, and then I can create some actions. So let's say I want to talk to GitHub, which is an API, through an API, and then Jenkins I can talk, and then I can trigger a job, or I can create a build artifactory and deploy that to the machines. So everything is you can create under this particular action. Earlier it was not there. So if you remember, GitLab, so it was, again, of course, it's kind of same GitHub only, but GitLab is actually we call it as this SCM tool, CI/CD and everything can be done here there. So GitHub is now also introduced this stuff. So these are all some of the projects details. How do you organize your issues, and some security stuff, policies. You want to set up these things. Um, uh, about the viewing the data, what is there, and from the organization point of view, graphics, some dashboards, dependencies, traffic, who is accessing what, etc. Can be controlled. And when we go to setting, this is where like mostly will be sent. Generally, you will need to know a few things. So you have options, manage access, who's having access. You can control that. So you want a public, you want to change that back. I don't want to have a public access, or I want to have a private repository only, but I would like to invite some collaborators to contribute the code. Some analysis of the security, if there is any breaches happen. How many branches we have? We only have one branch. And webhooks. Now, what is exactly this webhook is? I was talking about that push notification and kind of stuff, right? So that means, for example, I created a Jenkins job. So as soon as the developer check in some code here, Jenkins job has to trigger. Now you need to patch it up between your GitHub and Jenkins. So you can use this webhook options to patch it up, and like in a seamless deployment can happen. Like when we discuss about Jenkins, I will talk about this webhooks. Notification, if I want to get, if I'm the owner of this repository, and if there is some change, anything happening to the repository, it's not a private repository, public, but few other users also having access, I get notification. This is about integrating with some other applications, some deployment keys, actions, and this is secrets. I was talking about environment variable encrypted, those stuff. So you can create in the things here. Yeah. So these are some of the important things which can be used or referred inside your GitHub here. So fine, I got some idea about this thing. Now let's just talk about some of the commands from the remote stuff. So I am not inside this project. Let me come out of this project. Now, can I still access the remote repository? No, let me try to access these things. It says that when I use this git remote -v, it says, first of all, you don't have even a git repository in your local box. So where can I refer this command called git remote? So which is actually specific to only that particular folder. So that repository. So local data, local repository, and then GitHub. So 3 stages. So it has to be in line with that particular 3 stages: local folder, local what do you call a repository, and then GitHub data. So, and again, do I need to create a folder, and do I need to create a repository and remote add origin and then pull the data? Or is there any other shortcut? Yeah, there is some options available. So for example, if this is my repository, just copying this URL, I can no, you can do many things. Like I would like to do one thing. I would like to clone this stuff. So it is a private repository, by the way. It's asking me credential. Right. So what will happen? So as soon as I did a clone, this git clone, entire repository is shipped here. So the entire data is now copied here. Inside this, just want to see any hidden files and folders are there or not. Yeah, we could see that there's some hidden folder called .git also available here. So we have not configured anything here. Everything is shipped to local machine when I use git clone. What happened to the git remote stuff? That is also configured. So it is entire copy of that repository shipped into or dumped into my local machine. So I'll ask these questions to you. So in the previous example, we pushed data to the remote stuff. So what that is push, and we also of course, we can also use git pull to pull the data from the repository. Now, what is the difference between that git push or pull from git clone?
Git clone, it will clone the entire data, whatever is there in GitHub, whether the changes are there or not in the local machine.
Okay, and then
Git pull only it will pull the changes.
Changes, yeah, absolutely. So we are here right now dealing with only extremely simple data, but in real time you will be dealing with huge data, so in GB sometimes. So when you deal with that kind of size of repository, so when you really want to use clone, it will take it's a time consuming stuff. So that is the reason it is always recommended that in case if you have a local folder already, git clone, and going forward, try to use git pull or push. So it only deal with the incremental data. Any changes happen here and there as well. So yeah, that is fine. Now I understood about little about GitHub and all this thing. I would like to take a scenario that I have a file, added one line and committed, and added one more line and committed. But I lost some data. Locally, I lost some data. I want to now get the not the latest commit, but the previous commit. The previously committed data I would like to get. So how do we do that? Any guesses? Basically versioning I'm talking about. We have seen this thing, right? Just now. Yeah, git.
With the commit ID. Okay.
With the commit ID, exactly. Yeah. So that is in case if you have local log, like Git log is there, right? Of course, here we don't. Do we have Git log? Yeah, here we are. So when you use this Git log, you'll get this commit ID. So using that commit ID, you can get the exact version, exact data. So always commit ID, as I discussed, it will not deal with the single file. It deal with one that commit ID. So chances are that you modified 10, 15 files in different files and folders. So it all referred as one commit ID. Yeah. So this commit ID is unique ID in your system, irrespective of the branches. So within the repository. Yeah. So mostly it will try to have a unique ID even across the repositories also, across the all that stuff also. So using that, it will be committed. Now, this is, I think you can easily do that. Now, what happened in case if I lost my local repository? Here also, if I pull and push or something, I mean, I've overwritten. Will it manage any version controlling system? Yeah, that's the whole purpose of this thing, right? So yes, it is also manages a version controlling system. So here, you could look at the history option here. So I mean, of course, we only have one commit, right? Here, that's with the content called chef. So you can check it, look at the history. So you will be having this commit IDs. In case, let's say the file is having, I mean, you're looking for one single file, you can look at the commit ID, and using that commit ID, you can check out that file to your local repository, and then you again check out to your local machine, a hard disk or a volume storage, and then start using particular stuff. So very simple, very easy, very simple to get a previous edition of that. So this is what big, but look at the all the comments. So whatever we committed when we trying to do all that stuff, everything is also shipped here into the branch. So history is or comments, whatever you are referring. It's very important always when we try to store the data or ship the repository from one machine to another machine, because using history only we'll be knowing the transaction which was happened with that repository by the original author or the different users, the developers who use that particular repository. So some of the very useful commands inside Git here. Apart from this thing is like I'll be discussing pure Git merge we have seen, Git clone we have seen, Git add, Git cherry pick. People generally very often they use this Git cherry pick. Let me explain that in a picture. So if you have two repositories. This is your local machine. I have a file here. I have a file here. And this is my dev branch. Imagine that this is my dev branch. And now this is my stage or QA branch. So I want you to tell me the process, how to get this file from development branch to QA branch. Only this single file I would like to copy. Yeah, can anyone try? Okay, so you can use this Git cherry pick. So if I use this Git cherry pick, you can just simply copy this file from one branch to another branch. So I just demonstrate how to do that. But manually, if you want to do, first of all, you need to take out this file and copy to the local folder. Then go to this branch. From there, here Git add and then Git commit. So this is different stages, different commands you need to process and execute so that that particular file can be copied. Instead, if I know the that particular commit ID of that so and so file, I can just simply use Git cherry pick and commit that particular ID. So in previous case, we used merge, right? So those things can be avoided. So let me go to project. So how many branches we have? Master. Okay. So we have how many files here? Develops. Okay. Devops, may something. Different files are there. Git branch. May. So we have this thing. So now this dev spelling typo error, but anyway, but this file is now not there in May. So if I really want this one here, yeah, because I have to follow Git merge and all this thing. But in case if I know that particular commit ID, so it is there in the other one, right? Let me go there. Git checkout branch. Sorry, Git checkout to master. Git log. So this is merging. This is DevOps. Yeah, I think this is something which I need. Some stuff. It's a small chef, right? Okay. Okay. So this, I'll go to May, Git cherry pick and supply the ID. So now what happened? That particular file is now copied, or basically the commit is now copied. So this is an easiest way simply to copy and instead of following multiple stages of files and folders from one repository. People generally mostly will be used frequently used option. And we also have Git Rebase. Now, what is the difference between Git Rebase and Git Merge?
Git merge, it will merge the commits based on the timestamp.
Okay.
But Git rebase, it will whatever the commits coming from the branch, it will project it as the topmost commits.
Okay. Yeah. So just to show you one picture just to give an idea. So for example, take this scenario. You are actually developer working on this branch. So you got some new Jira story and all these things. You're working on this thing. So this is your master branch. So you're trying to work out this thing, but your PM, your manager suddenly got one more enhancement, some new feature to this particular product. So he assigned that to someone else. So what he would have done, I think he would have cloned or created a new branch. He said, hey, why don't you work on this thing? So this guy is working on this new feature. So we went to the client and then client approved this particular work. Meanwhile, you are actually working on the main streamline, main work. So you have to this thing, but customer want to go with this feature now instead of this main story. So in that case, if I go with Git merge, chances are there that because both of us working the same functionality, similar here and there changes. So conflict will come, merge conflict will come, and it will be very difficult for me to do that stuff. So I don't want to go with the merge, but I want to ship this thing, this future branch on the top of the layer. Yeah. So we call that as like Git Rebase. Now, what is the advantage of this? I no need, let's say I'm dealing with hundreds of files. So I no need to worry about sitting whole day and addressing that conflicts, which is surfacing file by file. So also at any point of time, anyway, it is there in this my layer, right? I can refer to the previous code which I've done at any point of time here. And then I can get any of their data, or let's it's a reference point. That is also advantage, and it is quick and easy here. It's a Git Rebase. So this is a lot of usages are there. And these are some of the real-time example. A bug identified master branch. So now it was a feature working successfully, new broken. I just want to rebase that. So yeah, some of the use cases here, but I hope you understood the concept here. So the Git Rebase concept. So people mostly go with the Git Rebase in case they want to quickly apply this fix which is there in the new feature, etc. So one more command, git fetch, people mostly very frequently use. So I don't want to retrieve the data from the remote repository local machine. So I just want to see the differences. So we'll take an example. So this is which we already configured my this thing. So here I will do one thing. I'll just add a new file. Directly we can also add here temp.txt test, and also I can commit here on the UI itself. So in my local machine, where did we configure? This is where we configured, right? Git fetch. It is asking credentials again. Yeah. By the way, anyway, we can configure that. So when I do git particular fetch here, so we could see that there is some data. It is like metadata. It is displaying. So what it is saying that now you have this ID, signature ID here, but actually it is changed. That stuff. So it is actually really did not pulled the data to this stuff, but yeah, I can now figure it out. So what is that 9E kind of stuff? I think it is that we created some temp file, and then we can address that particular thing. So what is exactly this 9E? It will try to show the differences to you. So it will really not pull the data. So then you can take a call whether you want to pull the data or not after ripping. Say I want to pull the data. So pull origin master. So when I pull it, so then it's like almost merging only. So that particular temp file, and I think anything if it is there, that everything will be full. Now if I do git fetch, you don't see any output. We should have configured that's anyway. We don't see any output here. So that's a very useful command, git fetch. We have seen fetch, rebase, cherry pick, merge. Yeah, git stash. So I'm working on my local machine. I'm working on something. So let me create it. Let's say puppet text.file. Okay, but if I do git status, it is showing that you did not add it to the local staging data, or you did not even add it to the repository. Okay, you did not do anything, but suddenly something came up as you need to work and do some, let's say, bug fixing has to be done, but you don't want to lose this data. But again, you don't want to commit also, because first of all, there is a bug. I need to fix that bug. So in that case, you can use Git Stash. So of course, we did not committed anything. So git add space dot. It is just not yet committed. So now if I do git stats, what happened? It saved working directory and indexed the state in the work in progress on May with this particular references. So if I want to list all these things, so I can have any number of stashes. So you can look at all the stashes you've done. Now, if I apply git space status, it shows that the working tree is clean. So now you can work on your actual main branch and all this thing. Later they can come back to here, and then you want that git stash to be again roll back to the environment or not. So, or you want to commit that, or you want to discard. So a lot of options are there. Git stash. So list, just now we have seen, show what is that option and all stuff. And no, I don't want drop. It's basically drop it. Or again, a pop-up. Means come back to the normal state, or apply, or git stash branch, directly go to that particular branch. I don't want into this branch, or push, clear, store. You have a lot of options available with the git stash. Now, people generally frequently uses this as well. Yeah. So any questions on this thing so far?
So Raghu, it is showing no local changes to save.
Here, Git Stash. Yeah, because I already stashed it, right? So do you see? It was that new file, which what was the file name we created? Something we created, right? That was stashed. So what do? Git stash, delete or do pop. So when you do pop, it is a puppet.txt which was created. Now it is started showing. So now if I do git status, it's back.
Okay, so pop is used for retrieving it back.
Getting back, correct. Yeah. So you can have any number of stashes. So let's say you're working with multiple files. Suddenly something came up and one stash, two stash, three stash. And then you can list it again. Then you can pop using the ID, which one you want to pop. Here in this case, we only have one pop, but yeah, you can do that stuff. So yeah, one last very useful topic. We just now discussed anyway. If you go to .git, we have a lot of files, right? I mean, a lot of things we already discussed, but in a hook. So this one I was talking about, right? So for example, I don't want every time to add and commit or as soon as I commit that push also should happen. What is push? The data should go to GitHub. That's my push, right? So if I do commit, push also should happen. So those kind of stuff. So there are some samples available. So pre-push, post-push available. So you can write your own samples also. So just to view a few things, for example, when push, what should happen. So some scripts available. So you can use this stuff and then refer the documentation and modify accordingly. And you can apply your own hooks here, pre or commit message. So I want to have some message, something like that. So which will commit some log messages, git commit with an argument, name of the file. Because in the commits name of the file generally we are not seeing, no, I want to have that file name also, so that I know which one we are referring. So those things I would like to change and modify, customize, develop some automation. Everything can be possible using this particular hooks that general people will use this. And what else we have here? Branches we have seen, hooks we have seen, logs. Yeah, we generally don't have that so much difficulties, but if anything in all these things that can be referred to log. By the way, this is the actual index file, staging. So we were talking about staging, right? So where exactly the staging will be stored. This is the location. So on index, it will be stored. So any staging data, everything by default will be stored here. And when we do commit, so it will be flushed out. I mean, it will be checked out from this particular file, and then it will be committed to your actual database or repository. So that is something about hooks. So we will try to play with merge conflict. I was trying to create the scenario. Let me try to create one. This thing, branch. How many branches we have? Master and May. So let me git checkout to master. Okay, so we create file 2021 may.txt. git add space dot. And now git checkout to May. Okay, we did not commit it. That's what it is saying. Okay. So first of all, let me commit it. Git commit merge config exercise. Yeah, committed. So we are on master branch. Is everything clean? Yes, nothing to commit. Anyway, git pull, if you want, you can do that. Git checkout to May now. So here also we will try to create same file 2021 may.txt. Add space dot git commit May 2021. So I will now go to master and edit this file. New line adding blah blah blah. So I've saved this thing again. Git. Now I don't need to again do git added. Commit -a new line. That. Git status. Right. So nothing to commit. Now git checkout to May. Something a different content is now added. So now if I come to master, try to merge May. So you'll be seeing merge conflict. So why it is so? Because there was no synchronization, right? That's why when you use Git Log, so because both are having two different files at two different times, it was no, this is what happened. So one command is there, which using that you can configure this this thing. So git config, I'm configuring a merge tool called vimdiff. That. And the difference I want to show is that the style is that in a diff3, the merge config style diff3, the one-time activity. Because I'm now configuring, going forward, don't again ask me how to which config tool and all these things, false. Done. So when you do this thing, so git merge tool, because you got a conflict, right? When you invoke this thing, this will happen. So all these three files and folders will be horizontally will be displayed to you. Now you can start working on which file is the latest edition. So on the left hand side, new line adding. This is your master file. On the right hand side, top extreme right hand side, that is your May file. And the middle one is the temporary file of that what line you want to keep, which line you want to keep. So now I want to delete this. So I'm working on this thing, right? So I'm just, and I can keep this stuff, and I don't need this. I'm okay with this, etc. So escape. It's like your VA editor. Shift to WQ. Done. Now, do you want to change anything to the origin and destination files? No, I don't want to. I can quit, discard. I can quit, discard. So as soon as you're done, you'll get this message. Merging is done. When you stop, normal merge config will happen. So created a file, 3 files edit to edit, and all these things happen. So now it is merged. So just check it out. What is happening actually? Yeah, the new line adding actually. That is what I want to keep it, right? So that is now finalized. But can I also have the backup file? Yes, the original file is also there. So it will kill that original file just for reference point. So the one which was created as part of this merge exercise. So very handy tool, merge conflict, how to handle all this stuff. So in case if you have two files to be edited and configured, merge conflict will be very handy. So any questions on this? Merge. Okay. Please practice all these commands, and I'm just pasting in the meeting chat as well. Yeah, I pasted in the meeting chat. No questions?
One confirmation I want to do. So what I've understood that this merge conflict will occur if you do not have the same named file in both of the branches.
Yeah, it will not happen if the file name is different.
And if the codes are different in both of the files.
Sorry, can you repeat the last one? It was
So
not clear.
suppose I have the same name file in both of the branches, but the codes are different. So how is it going to keep a track on what changes I have made?
So you are saying that now you have two branches, but two different files.
Yeah, name is same, but the codes are different. So how is it going to keep a track on merging?
Then like the source and destination, you need to like rename the file name. Yeah, then
it is not going to merge because if the file name is I'm going to change, right? So it is not going to merge conflict.
Merge conflict will come. Yeah, you need to work with the editor, a third party. Let's say if it is Windows, you can use beyond compare. For Linux, you can use vimdef command. But see, the whole point is that so yeah, there is no automation over there. So everything has to be manually. You need to edit line by line. So that those tools will help you to reduce the effort of editing those files. But yeah, you need to work on that. But when we really use this merge config, just in case, as just now we have seen, right? It's if two features, two modules has to be merged. Only then you will be doing that stuff. But generally, we'll go with the rebase or we'll go with the other options. Okay. Yeah. So any more questions? So I hope like this Git exercise given you some insight about what is Git. So what are the most advantages about the version controlling and why someone has to learn. So it's not only developers. Nowadays infrastructure as a code become the common mantra. So everyone is working on the coding part. So it is it's expected that everybody is well versed this tool, which is open source tool, can be used anywhere, no license, nothing. So good to know that all the concepts and all the stuff, so that tomorrow you can work on this kind of tools and take the advantage of using these tools. Okay, so there's no questions, and that's all from my end then.
Right. Thanks, Raghu.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, good evening. So we'll catch up tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you, Raghu.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raghu.